This is going to be costly.
This morning, docks from Boston to Miami to Houston shut down after tens of thousands of workers went on strike at midnight, affecting the docks that take in half of U.S. imports. Those ports handle products Americans use throughout their daily lives, from groceries to electronics, cars, and hospital supplies. A shutdown could cost the U.S. economy up to $4.5 billion per day. Retailers like Walmart and Home Depot could be caught in the middle. Electronics giant Samsung, also a major importer. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce calling on President Biden to block the strike, but the White House telling NBC News he isn't currently planning to use that power.
Just in case some of you guys are unaware of some of the big reasons why this whole strike is happening, is pretty much contract renegotiations. Two of the biggest things is payment. They feel like they haven't gotten a raise in a while and they deserve to be paid more. One of the other biggest clauses that they have in the contract is for their jobs to not be replaced by AI.
This comes after a 6-year contract between ports, shippers, and the International Longshoremen expired. The group representing ports and shippers saying the workers' union has repeatedly refused to come to the table to bargain on a new contract. It all comes down to automation and increased wages, the union seeking to restrict how much of these ports can be run by automated cranes, gates, and trucks.
Which I think is very important, but I don't know how doable it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's like asking for a clause in a contract to not have your whole industry be advanced with technology. It's just kind of...
I think it's a wish list item.
Yeah, well,
because right now they're holding the companies by the balls. Because if you think about, I think I heard one statistic that said that one week of them missing work is like equivalent to them losing like $1 billion, something like crazy.
No, I mean, they have leverage. Don't get me wrong. They have a lot of leverage, which is why when I learned that apparently the president has the ability to stop the strike, I'm like, how does that work in practice? Do you go down and force everyone to keep working? Can't you just, wouldn't they just quit? Or how does that, like, I know when the NFL went on strike one time, they brought in like a bunch of no-name players to play. This was like back in like the, I don't know, 90s or something.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work in practice, because in my mind, people would just quit. But maybe I'm wrong about that.
Because the thing about this in the situation that's really good for the dock workers is because their work is so strenuous. Mm-hmm. It's even if they were to get like a whole bunch of new people, it would still take time. They'd still lose billions of dollars. So at this point, they pretty much, I mean, the dock workers have them by the balls. They pretty much have to do it. It's just in what time frame are they going to make it work? Is this going to get renegotiated in 2 days, 3 days, a week? Because what I'd originally thought, and this is what my kind of thinking is that unless they have it on the contract that they can't be fired over this negotiation after a certain amount of time, I'm thinking the companies might give in and might do the UPS thing where they give them an increased pay by a whole bunch, but then they end up firing a whole bunch of people. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that they're going to give them what they want, and then after 3 months, 6 months, however many months, they're going to hire the bunch of influx of immigrants that they got all over these different states. That's what I think is going to happen.
It's not a bad theory.
Because all they would have to do, realistically, is like a lot of these immigrants are willing to work for almost nothing. So all they have to do is say, hey, listen, I know you just came to this country. We can provide you guys with free, we could rent out a whole hotel area, have all you guys stay in there. All that's covered. You can just work for us. Like, I could see them doing that.
I mean, it's possible. It would not surprise me if that happened at all. So it's a valid theory. Now, listen, I want to take this back to how it could potentially affect me and you directly, right? Because all this is like what's going on behind the scenes with negotiations. But how does this affect us every day, right? Will you wake up in the morning and have your coffee to drink with your coffee mate, you know what I mean? And your bagel and your avocado toast that all you weirdos like, right? I don't know. So my first thoughts when I heard this was, do I need to make a run to the grocery store and buy all the toilet paper, bananas, and milk? I don't even drink milk. And I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it because, like you said, I think, well, I don't know if you said this, but I think these negotiations will probably be settled fairly quickly because we're talking about billions of dollars here.
Yeah, and if you think about, remember our last shortage, the chip shortage, and how much havoc that whole chip shortage caused? We don't need any more, like this economy is trying to recover by itself, and it doesn't need anything like this.
It doesn't need anything else that's going to cause more inflation.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, yeah.
Especially right before an election. Because I heard Joe Biden is not going to get involved. He's going to let the negotiations work however they're going to work. But, I mean...
Because Joe Biden's like, I'm not coming back anyways. I'm done.
I was about to say that. Yeah, he's not.
He got kicked out of his current presidency, so he's...
Yeah, Joe Biden's really on some F this.
Oh, Joe Biden can't remember where he's at.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. Another thing, how does this affect this? When I hear stuff like this, it makes me think like more about sustainable living practices. Not to get all not goofy, not to get all I don't know, hipsterish. I'm not sure what to call it, but earthy. But like I have friends that, or at least one friend, who they literally grow tomatoes, all kinds of fruits, vegetables. They have chickens, so they have eggs and they have meat. I'm like, man, if I was in that position, I wouldn't even really. I mean, I have everything I need. Plus, I'm a minimalist, so it's like I don't need that much. So I could ride this thing out for a while. Just thinking about it from a practical, individualistic standpoint, that's a great way to live. Am I going to invest my energy to do that? Probably not.
I was about to say, a lot of people are living in apartments and in cities, so it's like, how would that work? Unless you, I mean, listen, you can always go to a farmer's market, but I mean, inflation is inflation. So if inflation affects the supermarkets, the farmer's market is going to raise their prices. They're not just going to keep it the same.
That's true. Now, I have seen, this is on a very small scale, like people that live in apartments have little things that grow on their porches or the balconies or whatever, or you can like grow stuff in pots inside your house. But obviously that's, you're going to be eating a bunch of BLT sandwiches. But I mean, it's still something that is better than being totally dependent on having to run to the grocery store and paying $50 for a loaf of bread.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that also comes down to just the American life. Like, most Americans are just like working nonstop. Like, America's the land of working nonstop. I think a lot of Americans haven't even thought that far just because they're trying to just survive, especially right now. I know a lot of people who are going through it. That's why when I heard this thing about the strike, I'm like, listen, give them what they want for the most part. I don't think they're asking for anything that's too crazy, but I mean, everything always has consequences. So I mean, it's like the UPS thing, how like UPS, the price went up, they paid out a lot of people, but they also laid off a lot of people. So
yeah, they need to just get it done so everything can get back to where it needs to be, and then they can make decisions. They meaning the companies. I guess I'm not even sure how this works. So ignorant I am about this. Whoever they're negotiating with, they can lay people off if they need to, and unfortunately, and recoup whatever they lost. It's just part of the game. So
yeah. So ultimately, guys, I'm gonna say this is a good decision. I think the dock workers, if I see them, they work very hard from the videos that I've seen. It's definitely one of those jobs that not a lot of people want to do, and I think because it's a job that not a lot of people want to do, their pay needs to reflect that. Am I saying they need to be paid millions and millions of dollars? Absolutely not. But I think a fair wage, I mean, is not too crazy to ask, especially all the work that they're doing. So ultimately, I'm going to say it's a good decision. So, good decision, bad decision?
No, I agree with you. Across the board.
All right, guys. So, if you think the dock workers are making a good decision, leave a like, leave a comment. If you think the dock workers are making a bad decision and they're selfish, leave a like, leave a comment. All right, decision makers, don't do a strike.